In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the hunting technique that we use with the Phoenix AC/DC current. It's something that I've been using for years with the Therastim, and which was discussed in the original Therastim Manual called the hunting technique. And we could do a very similar thing with the Phoenix edition because it is a very similar waveform, a little bit stronger, but a very similar AC/DC waveform like the Therastim over here. So what you're going to do is we're going to use on the Phoenix edition, we're going to use channel 1 and 3. Okay. So when you look at the top here, you have all the outlets. We're going to use the Phoenix uses channels 1 and 3, which is 1 and 3. So I'm going to plug this in, my lead wire, into channel 1, and then I'm going to take my positive end. My positive end is labeled here with a red, but it will, if the red isn't there on it, you'll see a little plus sign. So you're going to take the positive end, and you're going to plug it into one of the actual sticky electrodes. So you plug it into the sticky electrode, and I'm going to do a demo on my knee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of put the ground on the outside of my hip over here. So you can just kind of put it on the same side that you're searching. Just put it like maybe a joint away from the area. So if I was doing it on the ankle, I could still do it on the hip. The hip's actually a good standard point for anything. So really, if you just kind of put it basically on the outside of the hip, if you're searching the shoulder, if you're hunting for a knee or the ankle. So that's positive over on the outside of the hip. Now, if you want, you could also use the carbon electrode and the sponge. You could just use those and plug it in, and then stick those in the hip. So, but I'm using the sticky one as the ground. And now on the black lead, I'm going to attach the carbon electrode. Now, I'm using a red one here. You have black ones too. Ideally, it's best to maybe match a black lead wire with a black one. But at this time, I don't have a black this size, 3 inches, so I'm using a red one, which is fine. It's just the color to show the difference. So I plug the carbon electrode into the positive, and then use a sponge. Okay, and you could get these carbon electrodes and these sponges from Script Hesco. That's Script Hesco. And they're a chiropractic physical therapy supply company. So if you ever need more of them, that's a good place to go. If you don't happen to have a sponge, you can actually use just a paper towel. Okay, and take the paper towel and you're going to wet it. Sometimes the paper towel works actually a little bit better because when you turn this on, what you're going to do is you're going to put the sponge or the paper towel around the area and then close the electrode. And if you're using a sponge, or if your sponge is too little, you need to grab that. And if you're touching under the electrode, you're going to zap yourself. So I'll demo both. So I'm going to search around. I do have some bad knees. My patellar tendon's a little sore. I haven't searched this recently, so who knows what I'm going to find. And I know it's a video, so you can't understand what I'm feeling. But okay, so we're going to turn it on. So when we turn on the Phoenix, we're going to turn on the Phoenix, and we turn it on by pressing the OK button. And then what it will do, you're going to scroll, you're going to use above and below the OK buttons to scroll up and down the program. These buttons right at the top here are associated with the leads or the channels. So you see channel 1 right here. This is how we're going to increase the intensity for channel 1. So I'm going to go scroll down until I hit programs. Once I hit programs, I push OK. Now that lists all the training programs, and what you'll see in here is Phoenix, cycling, running, swimming, sprinting. Okay, the Phoenix is the AC/DC current. Okay, the other programs are different programs that you could use, which are great programs, but for this purpose, we're using mostly the Phoenix, which is the AC/DC current. If you get a typical Globus unit, you will not see that Phoenix program in there. That's special for the Phoenix edition, and that's the only one that has the AC/DC current. So I'm in training programs. I'm going to scroll down to Phoenix. I push OK, which logs me into the Phoenix, and now it's asking me to start. And what I'm going to do is put a little contact on the electrode I'm hunting with, and I push start. Okay, now it's asking me to increase the intensity. And we're in channel 1, so I'm going to use the channel associated with channel 1. And I'm going to turn it up. And you want to turn it up to where you feel maybe a intensity level, maybe like a 5 or 6 out of 10. And you will feel it in the ground, too. You might feel it in the ground over here before you feel it in the one you're hunting with. And that's okay. And there might be a little difference because I'm using a carbon pad here and a sticky pad here. And like I said, if you want to use a different carbon pad over here, you could do that. You just need to wrap it. Sticky ones are just real quick and you apply them. So I turned it up, and now I'm feeling like I said, maybe a 4, I'll say maybe a 5. I'm feeling the sensation here, and I'm feeling the sensation here. So now I'm going to search a knee. So what you want to do is just start, and what we're looking for, we're not necessarily listening for as much as a contraction, okay? You may go over a muscle and hit that motor point where the nerve activates that muscle, and you may go over that motor point and get a strong contraction. That's not really what we're looking for at this situation. When we're doing some strength training, yeah, that's what we're looking for. But we're trying to actually get a better idea where a better, more precise area to put the pads for working on the knee for, let's say, some knee pain. So what I want to do is again, you don't want to touch underneath this electrode or you're going to get a little zap. So I'm grabbing the outside of it, and I'm applying a little pressure, and I'm just moving it up and down. So I'm getting a little bit higher sensation. I want to find about the 2 areas that have the biggest sensation. And you just use a little sweep going over the whole area. Okay, right there I'm feeling a lot. Right there is a big spot. Ow. So if you hit a spot like I did, I had the intensity up, and I was fine going over here, but once I hit over here, man, it lit me up, and you see it was a little uncomfortable, so I just unplugged it and let it drop. And this will actually stop if you take that out. So we got a spot right there. Well, I haven't searched the back of my knee. So we're going to start again. So a good thing to do too is you could take a marker, and I could just mark that spot. Okay, I know that spot so far was the most tender. So I'm going to reapply the carbon pad here. I'm turning it back up where I get, again, maybe 4 or 5, or intensity scale. I got that. So now I want to go around outside. Okay, see, when I go in here, I don't know if you can see, I'm getting a little contraction, but it's not really anything close to what it was right down here. And so, and if it feels really, really strong, go ahead and drop it down a little bit, and then cover the whole knee. So I still don't have anything that's as strong as that one there yet. And going into the back here. I'm feeling a little tingle. It may radiate. You may feel that shoot down the leg or up there. A little tight there. I'm feeling it in the hamstring. Oh, okay. There we go. You saw that, okay? That gave me a contraction, but that also was really, really sensitive. And I pop it off, it's going to stop. So basically, again, you're going to just basically search that whole area. So if you're dealing with something in the knee, search that whole knee in the back here. Move up into the quad, go in the back and the hamstring. If you're doing an ankle, you'll search the whole foot, go up into the knee. And what you could do is you could work it out. Ideally, you want to hunt the entire area. So you want to do the feet, the knees, the back, and the whole body. So what I'm going to do is basically work on the knee, and I'm going to kind of go a little bit above and below that area and hunt around there. And you're going to do the same thing. Like I said, if you had if I had like a wrist here, I could put the pad right here, and then again, I could just hunt all over and then find my 2 pad spots. So my 2 points were, there was that one, and let's say I made another point here. And it's good to even keep a chart. You could just print on, if you like print up, search on Google pain chart, a picture of the body will pop up, and you could have your little picture of the body, and you can make a note on your date, today's date, and make a little note there. Here's my 2 areas that were more intense. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the pads, sticky pads, and place it over where the most sensitive area was, and then I'm going to take another sticky pad, take this guy off, and apply that where that first sensitive area was. Okay. Now, it really doesn't matter whether or not you put the positive lead here or the negative lead here or swipe it, because what we're going to do is we're going to do about maybe 10 minutes with a treatment on this, and then we're going to reverse the way the current is going. And the way the original Therastim did this is they just had a switch right here that you would just turn it down and then switch it. And what that would do is change the polarity where it was going from, like I said, it was going from positive to negative. You just would switch that down, and now it's going to negative to positive. On our Phoenix edition, we don't have a switch like that, but when we get to that point, what we want to reverse the polarity, we go unplug this, unplug that, take the positive, put it to negative where the positive was, and take the positive and put it in the negative one. So again, at the beginning, it doesn't matter what 2 you do. So I found my 2 points for my knee, and now, like I said, this is, even though, let's say I'm having more patellar pain, these are the areas that found that were very much more sensitive. Okay. Now that doesn't necessarily mean I don't have to treat this area where my kneecap is, but this just might be my weak link. Okay. So these hot spots, these places of increased sensation, increased trigger point and activity, are definitely having an effect on this knee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat the more sensitive areas, and then I would go down and treat like the symptomatic problem of the knee. So if you think of it like this, you have almost 2 areas that you kind of want to work on. One is where you're having the irritation, the pain, or whatever, and that's my patellar tendon. You touch on that and go, oh, you said, where's your pain? Oh, it's here. Okay, that's great. We're going to treat that, but we also then need to hunt around to find other areas, because this might be more of a symptom of these guys causing the problem down here. So I've hunted, I found my areas, I stick my sticky pads. A good thing to do too is you could take some ace wrap or some wrap like this, wrap it around just to hold those pads in. Now we are going to be moving during this, and so anytime we're dealing with electrotherapy and electrodes and connections, there is a possibility I might step on it or pull a cord out. Okay. Now, if that happens, what you're going to do is you're going to just suddenly feel the tingling, and then you're going to feel a much more sharp tingle in one electrode. And so, if you're doing one of the sessions on yourself, and suddenly you hear, whoa, something doesn't feel right, check and see if one of the leads popped out. And I recommend you only use the pads that came with your Phoenix from the Globus. You want high quality pads. You don't want cheap pads, especially if you're going to deliver a higher amount of current through this thing, because some of the other pads, maybe when you plug these guys in, they're not going to fit really tight. Okay, I have some other ones that in here in the office that we use in other machines that the opening here is a little bit big, and so these things fall out, and the quality is a lot better. Okay, so get them back. So I found my 2 areas. Now what I'm going to do, since this is more of a therapy, this isn't a strength session, I'm turning that up. Okay, again, so what I'm doing here is I'm using channel 1, and so I'm using the buttons right below channel 1, and I'm turning that up Okay, so again, initially maybe a 6 or 7 on the intensity scale. And I'm feeling, I know this is a video, so you can't get what I'm doing. You might be able to see the contraction in my leg. And what I want to do is kind of go through a position that might irritate it, the knee. And not necessarily irritate, more. So let's say my knee, when I do this type of, my patella tendon hurts a little bit more when I'm running or walking. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn this up to again to about like a 6. Helps when I hit the up button. And there we go. So I got it. It's maybe like a 5, 6. I'm feeling it pretty strong in here. What's happening is it's causing the muscles to contract, which might feel like they're cramping up or seizing. And I'm gonna, okay, see now what I'm trying to do is bend my knee and go through a walk, kind of like what a walk would be. Oh, see right there, I just pulled a lead out. Did you see that? So it didn't do anything, it just shut down. But that also means like when you're doing some of these, you might want to tuck them into the hip or something like that, because I stepped on that thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I want to mimic my walking. And what that's going to do is just help that current get through there. So there, I turn it down a little bit, so if I have it too high, my leg's really seized up and I can't move it. So don't feel like you have to go to a 6 or 7. You could go to, you should go a nice little tingle. This is more like maybe a 4 or 5 right here. And see what I'm having the problem with this is this guy right here is really sensitive and is really causing this quadricep to contract. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit and I'm going to move it. Now that I'm moving it, I can increase it up. So I can notice, so I'm on a 16 now, and I go up and do about like 5 to 10 reps. Again, so what I'm experiencing right here is this guy is really firing a little bit. So I'm really sensitive in this area. And I have done a lot of hiking this week. And with my bad knees, my quads, it makes sense that I'm finding these things in the quad. So I'm going to go through, like I said, 5 to 10 reps of these things, and then increase it. I could do a couple squats. There's no like necessary really specific thing or movement you got to do. Move it around. Just go from side to side, up and down. A squat. So if you're working on if you got a wrist, kind of just move that around, and you'll feel where that current's kind of going in the area. Then, so you turn it up, go through the movement, and if that intensity or perceived intensity, that was maybe a 5 or 6, goes down, then increase it up. So now I can increase it up, and I'm having a hard time. Good. And fight through it. I'm moving it, and I'm moving it. And like I said, we'll work with you. So if you email us or Skype us, we'll help you walk through some of this a little bit more specific. So I'm going to do this like I said, for about 10 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down using the down button. And I'm going to swap these out. Make sure these are off. I'm going to unplug my positive black lead here, plug it in where my red one was, and do the same with the other lead. Then I'm going to repeat. I'm going to do the same thing. Increase it up. And usually when you do this change to the polarity, you get a little bit different sensation. So do the same thing. Find it, there you go. Like again, it's hard to, obviously it's video, but what happened here is this guy's really contracting and I'm having a hard time fight through it. So usually, the more you can take, the quicker it releases most of the tension around the area. So again, do it for, about 10 minutes, a couple movements, a couple squats, depending on the area, and then back it down. Now one thing I didn't mention, and I just noticed now because I looked down at it, and it's showing me I have 2 minutes left. So over in this corner here, you'll see the timer. If you go down to this F end little button right here, you push that, and you will see the area that's minutes light up. And right above the OK, you're going to use the up button to increase the time. So push the F1, it's lit up. I'm adding more time onto it. Push OK. Oh, I paused it. Okay. So what I did is I just paused it. I don't have my glasses on. It might help if you have your glasses on when you're doing this. So if you want to pause it, then you just, if I want to pause it, so it's running right now. So I got it on the 15, push OK, paused it. Press OK again. And it reactivated and it's going back up. Okay? So a thing to remember is going back up to where I paused it. So just remember, if you have this really strong and then you pause it, remember how strong you had it, because once you press go again, or OK again, it's going to go back up. So also be careful, so you don't want to do this. I have it on my leg, I have it really strong, I press pause it, then let's say I put it on my arm, and then I press OK and continue it. Well, maybe I could take a lot more on my leg than I could take my arm, so it's going to be real tight. So, that's how we do the hunt. If you have any questions, drop me an email, or check out some more of the training videos.